Hello everybody. In this recording, I'm going to introduce you to for loops in Python. First, what is a for loop? A for loop is a programming structure that will allow you to execute the same set of commands for as long as you want to. So you're going to loop around, execute the set of commands again and again and again. For how long? For as long as you need to. And that for as long as you need to is determined by either counting for as long as you're counting between 0 and 9, or for as long as you have data to crunch. So that is a for loop in words. The way I'm going to present it to you in this lesson, I'm going to switch and use Jupyter Lab. I've been using Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Lab has Jupyter Notebook plus a few more features that I use. I just want to introduce you to that. When you do your own work, you can choose to use the Jupyter or Jupyter Lab, or if you want to do Spider, you can use Spider. And I'm showing you all of those are available here in Anaconda. Very well then. So I'm going to remove Anaconda from your screen. I already have Jupyter Lab running here. This is how it comes up. It has various tools. And one of them right here with the folder is to navigate where I want to be. And I just navigated, regular navigation of folders. I went to the CEIS110 Python July 2023 folder and then modules. And in there, you can see I have the if statement from before, the Jupyter Notebook. And I have a new one here that I'm calling, give you some more space so you can see the full name, lesson CEIS _ lesson 3.1 for loops. So you can find it, and I'm going to upload this on GitHub and you will see it there. Okay, so I started running it. The first thing I did, I created, and by the way, you see it still has the same look and feel with a few more buttons that you will learn as I go through. All of these are configurable, but you don't need to have all these buttons. Everything can be done with the menu driven tools that you have here. Anyway, so I have it, and the first one is a markdown. It's just to document what I'm doing, right? And in here, I have, let's open this on a new cell. I have a link to documentation from python.org on for statements, the for loops. So they explain it here. I'm going to explain it in my own way. So let's begin. First, the loops, right? Let's say that I'm going to be forecasting the wind speed outside. And say I'm going to go play tennis or golf, and I want to know what the wind speed will be for the next 4 hours. Okay, so I'm going to fit into the computer the wind speed, and if it is above 10 miles per hour, I'll say it will be windy. Maybe it's not too windy, but I'll say it'll be windy. If otherwise, if it's not, then I'll say it's nice, and I'm going to do it for the next 4 hours. But I'm not going to use loops. So here are my cells. I'm going to add a cell. This time is a code cell. And I'm going to say the speed for the next hour will be 9 miles per hour. All right? And then I'm going to say print next wind. I'm going to do it wind speed will be, and I'll print it here. Okay, so I'm going to do all of that work, and I'm going to say if the wind speed is larger than 10. We learned the ifs command in the last lesson, remember? Here I'm going to say print it will be that hour. I put this hour, it's okay. Sounds more colloquial. And that's it, that's all I'm going to print. Else, I'm going to print it will be nice. Okay, so let's run this, see what it does. Next wind speed will be 9. I can add 9 miles per hour. To make it look better. So let's run it again. It will be nice. Okay. So now let's go to the following hour. So I have to do all this all over again. So I'm going to copy and paste. Copy and paste. Copy this code. Sorry, just do this. Control C, Control V. And the next one I'm going to say 11. Yeah, so it's going to get a little windy. And I'm going to run it again. And now it's going to say next wind speed will be 11. It will be windy this hour. It will be windy. At first it was nice. Now it's going to be windy. And then I go to the next hour. Sounds like a lot of work, right? In fact, I already copied it, so I'm going to paste. And the next hour is going to go down again. It's going to go to 10, which is not above 10. It's not larger than 10. 10 is equal to 10. So when I run it, I get, it will be nice. 10 is nice. 11 is not nice. Then the next hour. And I said I'm going to do it for 4 hours. And now it's going to go to 12. So it's going to be windy, then it's going to slow down, then it's going to get windy again. All right, so that's the forecast. That's the forecast. So just to go through these four, four wind speeds, I had to type all of this code. What about using a loop? Well, if I want to cut it down and I don't want to type so much, I'm going to use a loop. But then I'm going to pass the forecast as a little list. A list of my forecast. I'm going to pass it to the loop. So the loop is going to go through and do the same calculations that I did for each of the wind speeds, the forecast of wind speeds. So I'm going to say 4, which is my loop. In fact, let me document it for you to make it look nice. Mark down. And when I say now, use a for, capitalize it. And now use a for loop. All right, so it's pretty like that. In fact, let me capitalize it here for you. Make it look better. For loops, because I want to emphasize it, that's all. All right, so I'm going to use a for loop. So the for loop begins with for for 4. And I'm going to take the value into a variable, the value of the wind speed. I'm going to put it inside S. And that wind speed is going to be in. And here is where I'm going to pass a list. A list is enclosed in square brackets. You're going to be learning all about lists in the following module. There is a lot to lists that we want to learn because it's a data structure. It's a way for me to save data, to structure my data. The data that I'm structuring here right now is the wind speeds. So just like I did above, it was 9, 11, 10, 12, right? So 9, 11, 10, 12. So then I go, okay, I'm going to do a loop and I'm going to get my first wind speed. I should have used temperatures because I keep on saying temperatures. Is wind speed. I'm going to get the first wind speed, 9, then 11, then 10, then 12. And by the way, at this point, I'm going to pretend that I don't know what the forecast is. All I know is I got this list. And I'm going to pretend that I didn't look at the numbers. So I'm going to let the computer pull those numbers and do something with it. So I'm going to do that something with it, which is the same thing that I did before. I'm going to say for S, which is my wind speed, and it's going to take the values 9, 11, 10, and 12. I'm going to loop around, and each time I put a colon to say this is where I'm doing my loop. Just like I put a colon on the if statement, I'm going to do one for my for loop, so I know this is what I'm looping through. And notice that after I click on enter, just like in the if statement, it gave me an indentation. And that means that within that indentation, I'm going to do all of those commands in a loop. If it is not indented, then it's not going to be doing them in a loop. Okay, so, but here I am, because I'm showing you how the loops work, I'm going to indent. It automatically did it for me, and I'm very happy that it did it for me automatically. Otherwise, I would have to indent it with a tab. All right, so what am I doing first? I'm going to say print next wind speed will be S miles per hour. All right, then I hit enter, right? That is the first command in my loop. Then I'm going to say if S is larger than 10. Notice that now the if gets indented, second indentation, so it goes further to the right. Okay, so I'm going to say print, just like before, it will be windy this hour. Okay, else, and I come back and unindent the else because it's for the next set of commands for the if statement, but I don't unindent all the way to the bottom. I keep them looking pretty. See, everything that is indented in the for means those are the things that I will execute when I do my loop. So else print it will be nice. Okay, so in this single set of commands, rather than typing all 4 of them separately, I type them once and my for loop will execute all of them. So let's try it. There you go. I did all of the 4 forecasts. So the first one was 9 miles per hour, it will be nice. Then it was 11 miles per hour, it will be windy this hour. Then it will be 10 miles per hour, it will be nice. And then it will be 12 miles per hour, it will be windy this hour. So in one loop, I was able to execute all of the things in that list. Now pretend that I didn't just have 4 temperatures. Pretend I was forecasting some radioactive material for the next hour, and it's going to count 1,000,000 times. Well, you're not going to type your code 1,000,000 times. That's just not going to happen. It will be almost impossible that you will type 1,000,000 times. Imagine if it takes you 10 seconds to type the one code, you will multiply 1,000,000 times 10 seconds. It will take you a very long time. You need to eat, you need to go to the bathroom, you need to sleep. So that will not work, right? So with a for loop, you actually can do 1,000,000 times in a for loop. You know, you can do 10 times, you can do 100 times. So you can loop around for as long as you have data. Okay, so the loop is going to save you a lot of work. It's going to do things for you. What we call this process, we call an iteration. It's iterating through a list. So many times you see this iterative forms, iterative lists in the form of a variable. So let's do that. Let's use a variable. So I'm going to say my forecast, I'm going to call it F, is going to be 9, the same as before, right? 11, 10, 12. So at this point, I'm going to run that cell. So F contains 9, 10, 11, 12, and 12. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same loop that I had before, but this time it's going to look a little bit different to you, because instead of writing down the list in here, I'm going to put F, right? So I'm going to be for S in F, and I know F is a list, but as a matter of practice, notice how I can pass that list in a variable. So I say for S and F, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to run it, and it's the same result. You know, it just looks a little bit different. And the reason I'm doing this for you to make it look a little bit different is you will see in your code more often you will see this kind of loop where you're passing a type of variable. And that variable, for the loop to work, has to be an iterator. Iterator meaning you can iterate. You iterate when you go in that loop, right? So, so here I'm going to add a comment. Okay, F is an iterator. All right. So I can iterate okay. So you're going to iterate the value of F. So that is the condition for your loop. And that covers loops. Whatever is inside the loop, it doesn't have to be a number. It can be words. It can be strings. But you're going to be looping. You're going to be iterating through them. So the next step for you is to go to that reference that I gave you. And you notice that, in fact, they have a loop here iterating through a list. It's a little different notation. Well, let's look at the first one first, the one above. It is a list of words. You see, you have the brackets right here, okay? And it's going to loop through, and it's going to print the word and the length of the word. So they're playing with strings. But the whole point of what I want to show you here, I want to show you this one, is that you can iterate through a list of strings or words. So it doesn't have to be numbers. The other thing that they show a lot, I'm going to skip this one because it's similar to that one. You can read it. The next one is range. You're going to see a lot of looping through range. And what it is a range is a quick way to create immediately a list of numbers. How many numbers? The numbers that you pass in the range. So here I want to create 5 numbers. You say range 5, it creates 5 numbers. Want to learn more about the range? Here's a link. So I'm going to open it in the next tab so you can go and learn more about range. So if I say range 10 is a list of 0 through 9. Those are the 10 numbers. But we'll leave that to get into that with more time, with practice. The purpose for this recording that I just did was to show you the for loop, how you're looping through that iterator and compute the same commands over and over and over. In this case, in my example, it was 4 commands to keep it simple and visible, but in reality, it can be very, very long. It can be 1,000, it can be 10,000, it depends on your application. All right? Well, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.